Hey, David Raffoff here with another engineering video. Today I wanted to talk about a classic that I've been going through again recently. This is the second edition of Refactoring. This edition is primarily written by Martin Fowler. I think some contributions by Kent Beck. And it's just the latest edition of this classic, which was originally done in Java. And again, I think was primarily written by Martin Fowler, but with contributions by Kent Beck, John Brandt, William Updike, and Don Roberts. And this is a book I love to go through anytime I join a new team that isn't familiar with it. And there's a lot of really cool things about going through this book. I think when people get different team members can be kind of in different places or just be coming from different backgrounds. Some people may be coming from more like academic backgrounds. Some people may be coming from being self-taught. Some people may be from like code schools or whatever. And I think one thing that gets missed a lot when people are getting instruction on how to code is it's usually focused on just making, like, getting to the point where something works. And in my opinion, that's like step one of, 20 or 30 steps. And what happens because of that is, a lot of code bases just become this big mess of code over time that's very hard to understand. And it's very hard to change because you don't know, like, if you change something in one place, if it's going to break somewhere else. Frequently, that will also include not having any, like, automated testing, so you can't just check to see, like, if the software is working, or there's no documentation, so you don't know, like, how it's supposed to work. So you can't distinguish between what it is doing and what it should be doing. There's no distinction, like it's just one thing. And that's really a problem. For example, if say you were working on an application that the business owner knew had hundreds of customer reported problems, and you go in to start trying to change things, you may not be able to tell what if or when there actually really is a problem, because there's no documentation for like how it's supposed to work versus what it's doing that may or may not be wrong. So anyway, that's a long way of saying just writing the code initially is like such a small piece of the puzzle. Like, you really need a whole bunch of other stuff in there to help you write good software. And something that's really cool about this book is it takes a really practical approach to explaining how to do that. So kind of what it covers up front is it covers a lot of different things, I should say. It's kind of hard to summarize quickly, but it does strongly encourage you to do things like write tests so that you at least know what the current behavior is of the system that you're working on. And once you have that in place, you can run those things over and over quickly, and you can confirm it's either doing that thing or doing something different. And that's kind of your safety net, so you can go in and you can start changing things and feel a little bit more comfortable. And then what the book does is it just walks through a list of all these different things they call code smells. And I'm going to try and hold this up, but it might get blown out with the light. Yeah, there's a list of things here called code smells. I'll see if I can get into focus. Just some examples here, like large class, feature envy, shotgun surgery. Shotgun surgery is a fun one, so that's easy to understand. The code smell of shotgun surgery is that if you go in to make a change, you have to make a change in like 5 places. So maybe you want to change the way a date's formatted consistently in the app, and if there's not one source of truth for how to format that date, you might have to go to every place that shows a date and update it, right? So that's shotgun surgery, because you're blasting and sending pellets everywhere and sending changes everywhere when you want to make that change. So the smells aren't necessarily they're called smells because it's not always 100% clear that you should fix them, and in fact many of them are problems that exist on extremes in a spectrum. So each end of that spectrum may have a code smell associated with it. And what the book does is it just tells you what all these smells are, and they're common. They apply to any kind of software, really. It's not industry specific. Even in this book, it's this one's written for JavaScript, and it takes mostly class-based approach. It doesn't take a pure functional approach. I don't want to get into the details of what that is or why, but even for different approaches to writing software, like very object-oriented versus very functional or pure functional, all the code smells that you find in here, for the most part, I mean, there's maybe like one or two that it's a bit of a stretch, but almost all of them will apply to like anything that you're writing. So it's basically just a manual for, here are from working in a large code base, here's a list of the things to look out for. Here's the things that we ran into, that the authors ran into when they were writing software. And then in addition to that, there's solutions, essentially. So if you run into this code smell, here's a pattern you can follow to make that easier to understand. And the idea with all of them is they're meant to be small things. They're not meant to be big, sweeping, dramatic changes. They're things you should be able to experiment with quickly, like maybe, in half of a day or a day, maybe even less, just to see how it's going to work. Try it out, see if it's good, see if all your tests will pass after you make those changes. And what's cool about that is it starts giving you just a really rigorous way of thinking about finding things that are off and then knowing how you can try to fix them. And it also gives you language to, it gives you names, right, for all those different things. So like one of the hardest things in a team, or even if you're just leaving documents for yourself or in the future or whatever, is knowing exactly like what kind of problem you're dealing with. And then if you're willing to spend a little more time, you might even look into of 2 or 3 potential solutions, like which seems like the most likely thing to fix your problem or to give you the best results or to make the code more maintainable. But there's very clear names for all those things in this book. So if you're going into a team that doesn't have that common vocabulary or doesn't have the background of reading like one of the editions of this book, it's super helpful to just have everybody be aware at least of what this book is, and you can start referencing the different code smells and the solutions for dealing with them. One place that is really nice is in code review, so it gives you a little bit of common vocabulary or shorthand if you go into somebody's PR and you see that, oh, you made this change in like 5 different places and this is exactly the same thing. This doesn't seem very maintainable, because if we have to do this again, we're going to have to change it in 5 places. So you can say, hey, this looks like shotgun surgery, and maybe you should extract this to a constant, or maybe you should extract this to a function or a class or whatever it is. But you have that common vocabulary and people will know what you're talking about, and it becomes more kind of like clinical or professional, or I don't know what the right term is for it, but when you're giving feedback to somebody, it's clear that you're referencing like a known industry issue, and you're not picking apart for the sake of it, just like picking apart their code or being nasty or something. Like you have a very good, well thought out and backed by industry best practices idea about how you can improve it. It may be the case that the person who wrote it knows all that stuff too, and they say, yeah, I know that's the smell here, and I know that I could fix it with this thing, but given the time constraints, or given the fact that we're going to completely rewrite this area, or given the amount of effort it would take to do that reliably and like backfill all the tests and all of the areas that aren't tested, I'm not going to take that on. Like whatever the response is fine, but at least you can have a conversation about it that's framed around just like kind of industry standard vocabulary. So anyway, I'm a big fan of the book. I'm looking forward to going through the JavaScript edition. I've read through the original Java-based one. I've gone through the Ruby. Sorry, this is the Ruby version. Fowler didn't write this, but well, actually he did. I guess he contributed to it. Anyway, I've gone through the Ruby version. There's some other books that are kind of in this vein that I also like to go through, but until you've kind of gone through these with a team, it's a little bit harder to get into the other ones. But I'm also a big fan of anything Sandy Metz has done. This is a really great book, Practical Object-Oriented Design in Ruby. It covers a lot of similar ideas, but just in a little bit different way. I would say almost maybe it's a weird combination of like very practical and also kind of philosophical too. um, and then she has another book that's called 99 Bottles that is the entire book is about taking a program that literally just dumps out the text for the song, the lyrics for the song 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall, and slowly refactors that into a program that's like very easy to understand and really digs deep into like how to do that in very small steps that are very testable and easy to understand, and where you don't get lost in some giant refactoring along the way. And then just some of the deeper ideas in there too about how to name things well, how to that's a big challenge. Like, it sounds kind of silly, but figuring out how to name things in a way that's both clear and fits the situation and holds up to like additional future changes can be more challenging than it seems. But that book spends some time covering how to do that. So anyway, I strongly recommend any of these books. I guess I'll link any of all the books that I reference below in the description. Yeah, I do like an Amazon referral thing, so if you use those links, it'll help me out. And then it shouldn't cost anything. In addition, it's just I'll get credit if you go to Amazon and buy either of these books or I think anything else using that link. So yeah, if you want to help out the channel, that's a good way to do it. I also have a mailing list down below. I'm not planning on sending out things frequently on that, but I am starting to put together some other materials that I'm going to be sending out, and we'll probably give like special offers or something along those lines to anybody who's subscribed to that list. So yeah, messages won't be frequent, but if you're interested in any of that, feel free to sign up below. But yeah, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, yeah, definitely leave those. If you like this video, hit like. If you hated it, hit thumbs down. Yeah, if you're interested in seeing more videos, hit subscribe and hit the little notification bell to be notified when videos come out, all that good stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.